What's up, Dreamedia family? This is Zach. Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are out here in Colorado. I'm with Chase Williams, our regional sales manager, and we're going to be doing today a Samsung Terrace outdoor soundbar installation. As you may see right behind me, we already have mounted up on the wall our Samsung Terrace outdoor TV, which has been performing exceptionally well for the last year and a half that I've lived here in the home. But dialogue is a little weak. I do have some additional outdoor speakers mounted up here high up on the wall, in addition to some Focal landscape speakers, which has been wonderful. I've been able to take the audio out of the television so that I'm not using the built-in speakers for a whole yard distributed system. But there's been some downsides. A lot of the time, because I have a very diverse family of different age groups, we'll find that the older generation likes to sit over here by the fire pit, over by the rock speakers, and maybe listen to like Hooked on a Feeling radio, Mr. Blue Sky, something like that. And then my son, he's always wanting to sit here with my wife and cuddle and enjoy the couch and watch Bluey or the Disney Channel. And consistently, I am just horrified with the quality of the audio whenever they're trying to watch Bluey. If cartoons and stuff aren't annoying enough, when it's terrible audio, I don't know if it's just me because I've been in the audio world my whole life, but it literally has just been eating me alive. It's like screeching in my brain because the speakers are such poor quality. I mean, maybe I'm being dramatic here, but dialogue enhancement is our number one request. So many homeowners come to us and are like, I need an audio upgrade. I can't hear the TV. I can't hear the dialogue, the people speaking. And that's typically because you don't have a quality audio component to deliver that dialogue properly. So in typical home theater systems, we have a full-blown dedicated center speaker that we send all of our dialogue to, and we decode it as a Dolby Atmos system as an example. In an outdoor situation like this, to where I have a variety of different types of technologies that I'm bringing together in a weatherproof situation, we are somewhat limited on the options that are available. Luckily, Samsung has developed this soundbar that is active powered. It takes a high voltage standard 110 outlet, and then you take your optical cable out of the TV and it'll just feed any audio that's coming from the television straight into the soundbar. This soundbar is a great solution at a very good price point that I'm praying is going to make my experience better by directionally pointing the audio. Right now, the audio is just firing like down towards the ground with the built-in, I want to say they're like little tiny 35 watt speakers, something like that. So we're pushing them at 90% volume just to hear the thing. The TV itself, absolutely incredible. The picture looks wonderful, and I'll do a full review video on that in upcoming videos. But with this soundbar enhancement, we're going to be directionally pointing all the audio right into my son and my wife, our target seating area, which will allow them to listen to it at lower levels and allow the rest of the party, whether you're in the hot tub or at the fire pit, still enjoy quality music to where the zones aren't competing. I hate that. I hate it when you come into a space and the TV is just blasting, and then you have the music blasting, and then everybody in the party screaming at each other. It's okay after they've had a few drinks in them. But if we're just sitting around trying to, keep it down and relax, it can be a little bit irritating. So I can't tell you how excited I am to get this thing up on the wall. In today's video, we're going to document the entire process, from taking it out of the box, hooking it up, playing a demo for you, as well as giving you my personal thoughts. I hope you guys enjoy this video and find it informative in helping you make a buying decision. If you would like to purchase this product or anything else home theater related, reach out today for a free video consultation. All right, guys, let's get into it.
So what's really cool about this sound bar is I don't have to actually drop my TV and take off the bottom mount of the TV mount to get the sound bar in, which is the case with most sound bars. So all you need for this install is any drill and a Phillips head. Everything on the back of this is Phillips head. You do have to connect two sets of brackets. So depending on how wide your TV frame is, there's different mounting points back here. So we have about a 17-inch spread on our TV mount. So we're gonna go in these outside holes here. You'll utilize the screws in section D of the hardware kit. And each of them gets two. Go ahead and get those snug. Don't crank your drill and strip out your hardware.
In fact, guys, if you're doing this for the first time, you know, you're not a seasoned pro installer like Chase, I would recommend just kicking it old school with a manual Phillips, because like this impact he's using is incredible, but if you don't have a sensitive trigger finger, you could easily strip out the screws. See how gentle he is as he's putting it in? Those threads are super tiny, and it doesn't take a whole lot to strip it. Once it's stripped, you're kind of screwed.
Just get those nice and snug. And then these guys are the bottom mounts. So you're gonna want them in line with your mounts on the back of the sound bar. And they flush into a hole there that holds them for you. And those are going to utilize screws E from the hardware kit. So one on each of these back brackets. Now I'm going to start this by hand. I recommend you do that as well. It's a machine screw, so you don't want to jam it in with the drill before the threads are lined up. Make sure it's seated nice, just get it snug. Repeat the same process on the far side of the sound bar. Just double check and make sure I got everything nice and snug. Awesome. So when this is on the back of your TV, this makes it pretty easy. You just come in here. You see I got a hook at the top for this guy on the back of the soundbar, and underneath the little clip latch that's locking.
Oh, I see. That is sweet.
For the bottom. And you just line them up and pull up, and your soundbar is
wow. That's incredible.
And if you need to pull it off, you just push that guy in there on the bottom, comes right back off.
Wow, I like that. That's clean. So in this situation, guys, that's going to be an incredible feature, because we're just going to bolt it in right here and here, and the soundbar is just literally going to click right on. Very easy. All right, guys, so just wanted to elaborate a little bit more. So not only does this thing just click on, you know, super easy like that, but I mean, even more so than that is they've installed the screws precisely for this bracket. You don't even have to take the back plate off of your mount, which is typically what we have to do with soundbar installations, and then hang it from that screw. We're literally just bolting in right there, and the soundbar just clicks right on, which we're about to demonstrate. That's pretty incredible for DIY.
I actually like that. I've never seen a soundbar this easy to install.
That's very, very nice. All right, guys, so before we actually throw up the soundbar, I just want to review the connections. So it's high voltage power and optical out. Optical out, simple. Anything that plays through that TV is going to play through the soundbar. Simple as that. So what we're doing now is we're going to pull this panel off. And if you look down here, see all these little rubber grommets?
They click in here, and that creates your water seal. So you pull those out, and then make sure that when you plug your cable in back here,
that it's 100% sealed.
Waterproofed.
And that's how you guys are going to see me hit this thing with the pressure washer later. And it's not going to go bad. So next we're gonna hook up our optical cable, and the optical cable is gonna feed out of these grommets right here on the TV, the smallest hole since it's such a tiny diameter. And then same exact thing here. See all these little rubber grommets? Same thing, we're just gonna pop that off, slip her in, and then everything will be completely sealed. I mean, we can let it get hit by rain, I can hit it with the hose, all that good stuff. No stress. That's the name of the game with these outdoor systems, guys, is it's warranted by the manufacturer and it's designed specifically to be outside, like every product you see around this house. See, outdoor rated, ready to go. That can get rained on, snowed on, extreme heat, all that. Same thing out here in the yard. See, we got the Focal stone speakers, the OD8s, flanking the fire pit area here. And then around the main outdoor living area, we have the Focal Littora 4.1 system for additional dispersion. You can see it goes all the way around to our hot tub as well, so that you don't have to crank it super loud in one particular zone. This makes a world of difference. Dispersion of audio, especially in a large space that's outdoors like this, where the audio is really just able to run wild down the valley. It's important that you have a large number of speakers, but also the dispersion of the speakers are proper. See how these are all firing inward? What this does is all the sound waves are like reflecting off this wall back in towards our target seating area, versus if I had just these speakers up here that I initially had installed with the TV, all the audio is firing out to the yard and bouncing down the valley towards my neighbors, which, you know, late at night, I really prefer not to bother the neighbors. And by installing this system here, they can't even tell we're out here. And it's really loud in this little pit. Pretty cool.
So we have lifted up, we loosened these 4 Phillips heads. We lifted that up. You can see we have 2 wire entrances, one for our power and one for our optic cable. So these are the weather sealing. So if you're not using one, leave it in. We're going to plug in our optic. And little tip here with these rubber grommets, you push them in, they keep falling out. Get them in there and just wiggle it back and forth until it sinks below the rubber seal there, and you should be good to go. Now our only other connection we need is our DC power. So we're going to plug that in. We're going to do the same thing, little extra slack, wiggle back and forth till it's under the rubber there. We're going to close this hatch, tighten these down, make sure not to strip anything. These are machine screws.
And again, guys, if you're not comfortable with a power drill, do this manually. It'll only take another couple minutes. But this is why you hire the pros, so we can get it done quick for you. If you guys need installation help when you're reaching out for a consult, just request it. We're more than willing to get you set up with install.
And here we go. They're nice and snug in there with a little extra slack in case they get yanked. And this is waterproof and ready to go up.
Perfect. Looks good, Chase. So now we're going to work on getting these brackets put on the back of the TV. Location 1, location 2.
All right, so we have a regular screw there just to remind the bracket. And then we have this push off, which kind of doesn't make much sense until you look at it. The TV bends in here. So we're going to pull this screw out there. And this I definitely recommend doing by hand. You don't want to overdrive this, push something through and crack the front of your screen. So you just get that nice and snug. Now we're going to pull this guy off for good. Now I'm going to grab the bracket. So right back here, it may be hard to see on camera. Your top bolt is for 50 to 55 inch, and then 65 to 85 inch on the bottom. So go ahead and set that based on whatever size terrace you have. So since this is a 65, I'm using the bottom bracket.
75.
75, my bad. bottom bracket. And then I'm just going to tighten this guy in. And there you go. That's how your bracket goes on. All right, so to put this bracket on, I'm going to grab one G from my hardware bag and one F. I'm going to set those aside just for the second here. Based on the Terrace you have, it's where these screws are in line with each other top to bottom. You're going to pop both of these out. You're going to hand screw G into this bottom receiver. That way your soundbar sits level with the ground. Otherwise it's going to bow in. Your soundbar will be pointed forward in the front. You don't want that. That's how easy that is. And again, based on my TV size, I'm just going to line it up with the proper hole here. And always start these machine screws by hand if you can. Just snug. Don't go crazy. You don't want to damage the TV. And there you go. Both of our brackets are on and we're ready to hang our soundbar. All right, so this is pretty important when you're going to hang it. It will actually mount both ways on their design, but you want these bars on the back to be your top latches and these guys underneath to be your bottom latches. So when you're looking at the soundbar, your power button and controls are going to be facing the ground, not up where you can see them. So you're going to take your soundbar, head behind the TV. Now you're just going to kind of get the brackets lined up here. Slide it in a little high. You got to kind of angle it to get the bottoms in there. And then drop it into place.
There we go.
And there you go.
Nice.
Nice and sturdy, not going anywhere. You could bump it.
All right, guys, so now we're moving on to this wiring disaster we have back here. As far as connections, it's very, very simple as far as the soundbar is concerned. We have our optical out of the television into the soundbar, and then we have a power cord, this big power brick that does need high voltage power, but you can see it has some keyholes here, so we could either mount it to the wall or zip tie it to the back of the TV. In addition to that, you guys heard me earlier in the video talking about this whole landscape audio system. I love flexibility, right? Like, you never know who's going to be over, what type of party you're going to be having, what requests might arise. In this situation, we want to take audio out of the television, but we already are taking audio out of the television into our soundbar. So what do? Previously, I had the optical cable feeding into a digital to analog converter and then feeding into my Sonos Port so that I could select the Sonos content as a line in through my Sonos system and distribute it to the URC throughout the backyard. I know that may be a lot to absorb, but essentially we want the audio from the television to be able to play through the landscape audio system if that situation arises. In addition to solving the problem of our optical cable already being used. Luckily, the Samsung Terrace TV has a 3.5 audio jack on it in addition to optical audio out. I mean, this is a lifesaver right now. So we just simply grabbed a 3.5 cable and it's converting 3.5 to RCA, and we're just going to go straight into our Sonos Port and relocate our Sonos Port that was on the D to A converter in the kitchen and slap it up behind the TV. Problem solved. Now I have enhanced dialogue through my new soundbar, through optical out of the TV, and I'm able to take audio out through the 3.5, which is all stereo audio anyways, into my Sonos, so then I can distribute it to my 70-volt system throughout the whole backyard. So now Chase is going to make those physical connections and discuss important things to notate when making these weatherproof connections.
All right, so back here I have two HDMI sources. I've got my power cable coming out, our optical for our soundbar, and our 3.5 to get to our Sonos. So what's really important back here is you have these little plugs that come out. So you want to pick a plug that's a little bit smaller or as close as possible to the diameter of the cable. When you go to push this in, it's just going to keep rejecting you. So what you're going to do is have a little slack on the inside of the box and just floss gently back and forth until the rubber sides flip in front of the cable there, and now that's locked into place.
Perfect.
So we're going to repeat that for all these cables. We're going to push this guy flush and then screw it in, and we have a weatherproof seal on our TV.
All right, guys, so the next step is, now that he has all of his wires nice and clean, fed down through the weatherproof grommets, we're going to secure the panel to the back of the television. That way, no matter if it's just getting poured on or if there's snow sitting back there or whatever, we don't have to stress out. In addition to that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some other wiring that's back here while I have a moment, while Chase is working on this. So if you look over there, there's optical going back to the kitchen, which was retro wired when I put this whole backyard system in, this whole TV and everything. We're not going to be utilizing that. It is good to have future-proof in your system, future-proof wiring. So in addition to that, when we retro wired it, there's speaker wire, some 14-2, 3 individual speaker wires. The reason I want to bring this up is for all my hi-fi guys out there. We sell more expensive soundbars than the Samsung Terrace. This has got to be the most affordable, easy to install, DIY friendly, great solution for enhancing the dialogue, quality of audio with your Terrace TV. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't think I'm going to love this, because I've heard this in other customers' homes and have been really impressed for the price to performance ratio. With that said, the next step up in the evolution of my system would be going with a passive soundbar. Let's talk about that a little bit. So this is active, powered, 100% self-sufficient, essentially. Doesn't need additional amplification. With passive soundbars, you can get much higher performance and better amplification, better drivers, better tweeters, and we can actually install full-blown surround sound systems. So when I initially wired this, I thought for sure I was going to put in a 3-channel soundbar, front left, front right, and center speaker, dedicated, basically surround sound, a passive soundbar that is dedicated for a surround sound system. And the reason is because before I got this huge 70-volt landscape system, my plan was going to be to throw a couple 8-ohm speakers at the rear of the space and do a little wireless sub up on the deck. Well, then Focal was nice enough to bless me with this full Littora system, the 4.1 satellite system, as well as their new OD Stone 8s. And URC hooked us up with their distributed audio 70-volt amplifier that allows us to, instead of running individual lines to every speaker, just run one line all the way through the whole backyard for this entire system, in addition to that massive 12-inch in-ground sub. So I ended up changing directions, and now I have a 70-volt system mixed with 8-ohm up here on the wall, and I have now a soundbar to enhance the dialogue. But I still have complete flexibility to play just the television and music, or just music throughout the entire space. There's so many things to consider, guys, when you're doing these systems, and it really comes down to lifestyle application. As I was discussing earlier in the video, I've run into a serious problem consistently where the our parents, my grandparents are out here, and they really like listening to like Pink Martini, really relaxing music, maybe some 70s or 80s rock. Whatever, stuff that my son's not super interested in. So we're constantly finding ourselves in this situation to where the adults want to relax, kiddos over here giving us a headache. So what we're solving here today is now my kiddo should be able to come in here, grab the URC, Hitty wants to watch Xfinity, and it goes to Disney, and now his TV would be at 30%, the whole distributed audio backyard system would be at 45%, and you should be able to clearly hear every single word of the song that's playing, in addition to my son, who's sitting directly in front of this TV, should be able to hear every word that's playing from his system. But there's not that interference, that just muddy, fighting over the volume, which is what's been happening back here. So I can't tell you how excited I am to finish up this installation. Now we're just going to do a couple little small wire management things. We're going to clean up all the wires, bolt our power bricks in, our Sonos piece, our Sonos Port, which, gosh, guys, I made so many videos on Sonos. I could really take a deep dive into the complexities of Sonos, but the port essentially is an input-output device. You can plug devices in, such as a turntable, CD, player, old school things like that. Maybe you have a receiver that you want to tie into the rest of your Sonos system. As an example, this would be a perfect situation. I have a Sonos amp on these outdoor powered speakers right here, and then we want to pair together the Formal, which is actually a Marantz Cinema 30. Well, to do that, we would need to take a line out of our Sonos into our Marantz Cinema 30, so then you can select on the 30 or have it automated into a macro to select the Sonos. So then whenever you're in party mode or whatever you want to call it, the audio is playing the same throughout the outdoor space and the indoor space through the Sonos ecosystem. I hope I'm not getting too in the weeds here. I hope you guys are enjoying this deep dive into some of the complexities. I'm gonna make a full-blown video where I literally just sit down and talk through every single aspect of this entire home and all the various ways that I overcame obstacles. I thought this home was a perfect example of ways that Dreamedia can help rather than just new construction homes. Obviously, we do a lot of new construction, but this home I came in on late. It was a semi-custom home. We got in, but we didn't necessarily get to pick every single thing. So I have a lot of situations like this where I wanted a TV out here. Well, there's no wiring for the TV. So I'll show in this video on how I built this wall, how we wired everything, and how we did all of the connections to the amplification, and most importantly, how the user interface works. But I've taken a lot of the existing wiring in the home, like there were wiring up here in place for a couple speakers, and in addition to like the office and bathrooms and bedrooms, there's this distributed audio wiring, and I take that and I incorporate it into the more advanced system design throughout the entire home. So it's a mixture of new construction and retrofit for this entire home, which poses a lot of complexities, but we show throughout the entire process how we overcome those obstacles. So I hope you guys enjoy this series. If you're not familiar with the channel, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button down below. All right, Chase, how are we coming over there?
Good. We have our power brick zip tied up to our frame there. It actually sits perfectly there in the bars and
like a glove.
Nice and sturdy, not going anywhere. We're going to hang our Sonos Port right here.
Great.
So we're moving on to that now, and as you can see, I've tacked in all our screws around the back, so these wires can't get tugged, and they're waterproof now, so this TV is ready to go.
Sweet. And then we'll show you guys when he's finished with the wire management what it looks like. All right, guys, so Sonos ports are not designed to be put outside. We're gonna go ahead and just install it outside. Because this is a retro installation, we don't really have a choice. We really want that audio to come out of the TV and into this landscape audio system. And to do that, we gotta have the port out here. So what we're gonna do is just face it kind of inward so the connections aren't getting rained on, and just, yeah, do the best we can. Luckily, this isn't an amp, so it's not getting super hot. It does have a board in there. It has electronics. We install them all the time outside, and with extreme weather, they can go out. It's really important that you have all your electronics on a GFCI outlet, which this one is. Ask your electrician to ensure that your outlets are GFCI. But this is a solution, and it is going to get the job done. We're just going to have the wires coming out this side so that they're as protected as possible from the elements, and then we'll utilize some electrical tape just to ensure that everything's sealed up as tight as possible. This is the only element of this installation that isn't 100% perfect. In a perfect world, I'd like to see a optical, or, well, we had an optical, but now we're doing that 3.5 to stereo. I'd like to see a analog cable going back to a rack and this living in a rack, but sometimes it's not possible. So I just wanted to explain why we're doing that for everybody down in the comments. So Chase, you want to explain how you just kind of wired that in, give a little pro tip on that zip tie job you just did?
Yeah, so if you just zip tie it here to this bar, it's going to swing out and forward. So I very carefully loosened the anchor to the frame, just maybe one full turn, just enough to slide a zip tie behind it. So that way we're supporting it from both angles, and this guy is not going to move at all, especially once I tighten back up the TV frame here in a second.
Perfect.
And that's on there snug.
It's not going anywhere. And most of the elements that this would receive are kind of going to be here. So I feel confident that, you know, that'll last.
On a front face with just a...
Yeah, also keep in mind, guys, if you look right here, this is a fully covered patio. So like if you are straight out in the rain, you know, like if we were bolting it right here, there's a good potential that that port's going to go bad sooner than later. With it being right here, I feel that it'll last, you know. The other thing I've done with those ports on backyards that are exposed is just throw it in a Ziploc.
So we're done with our install here. We've got our terrace and our matching soundbar as we went through the install earlier. On the back here, we've gone and cleaned up the wires the best we could. A lot of this infrastructure is for future proofing. We have actual audio wires here as well as an optic that, instead of running to this soundbar, runs directly back to our rack room in the home. Here's our power brick for the Samsung Terrace. It mounts really nicely up here in this dead space, as well as our port to get this audio back into our system. That way we can move audio any way we want around the space. The only thing I would say is use these bars right here to hide your wiring. That way, if you take a good look from the front, there are no wires showing through. You get a nice clean install there.
Oh yeah, that looks great, Jace. Very nice. And then what's next? We gonna peel that plastic or what?
Yes, sir. Very little bit, but there we go.
Oh, forgot that piece.
Almost got it. Boom.
Better when it's the whole screen.
And we're just going to tuck this back here without getting fingerprints all over the TV. And there we go. We're ready to enjoy.
All right, check it out, Dreamedia family. We finally got the TV all buttoned up. I'm gonna pass it over to Chase for a demonstration on how we can maneuver the TV to the different seating zones. So I'm gonna put it in wide mode. As you guys can see, this is the primary seating area, and this is why I installed that soundbar for my son and wife, which is directly in front of the TV. But with that said, we have the fire pit area over there, and then we also have the grill area. This is Daddy's station, as well as the hot tub. So we want to be able to see the TV from the grill station. And, you know, I can see it from over here, but there is a little glare. So in many times, I'm actually just going to kind of pivot it a little bit, maybe add like a 15-degree angle to it, just like that. Or heck, as you can see, this one can actually pull out really far. We got it about, yeah, Wow, look at how far that thing pulls off the wall. So you can really position it dead on with this zone. Picture like your patio and pool spa area. That's really common. Out here in Colorado, it's going to be the hot tubs and fire pits. But now I'm going to go over to the other side and show you from the fire pit area. The parents like to sit here too, the in-laws. So a lot of the time in the evenings, they'll sit in these chairs. And as you can see, by rotating the TV out, you can easily see the picture for sports and things like that. And then while you have it pulled out, Chase, let me sneak around. And if you just want to review what you did on the backside one last time.
Yep, so we installed our sound bar, which came with a power wire and an optic cable. So we're hiding these behind the brackets here. They're going into our weatherproof seal. This is future-proof infrastructure not being utilized right now, but we wanted to keep it as clean as we could. Our power module for the sound bars hid nicely up here. Really secure, not going to go anywhere. No adhesive, it's not going to wear out. Same thing with the Sonos Port. Everything's nice and clean. Can't see it from the front, even though we have a ton of tech going on in the back. Much outside of the infrastructure you would just have for a TV with the sound bar, because the sound for this TV can be routed anywhere in the home, not just out here on the back porch. And this pushes up really nicely. You can do it with one person. Even if you don't think you're going to move your TV, the articulating mounts are really nice. You never know how floor plans on your back patio are going to change. You can leave it up like this, never move it. Tilt it up, get even tighter, but as we're using this multi-purpose space, it makes it really easy to enjoy content from the proper angle at any area.
Yeah, I personally enjoy, guys, having the articulating arms on every installation, just because it makes the installation process a lot easier and gives us a lot more mounting flexibility. I also would like to point out that we do sell motorized versions of these mounts. If you like this concept, but you're like, man, Chase is really having to move around a lot to get that thing pulled out and put back in. I don't know if I want to do that all the time. Well, we can automate it, guys. Put a motorized lift up there. We even have the mantle mounts that go over mantles. If you have, like, I know a lot of my guys down in Texas have those fireplaces out on their patio. You can put a mantle mount so that it brings it down to the appropriate height so that you're not straining your neck. But in this situation, we're about buttoned up. Now we're ready to actually fire it up. All right, so we're gonna grab our remotes. Obviously, we have a control system here, but I'm just going to review with you what comes, factory. So we have the standard TV remote right here, the Samsung Terrace remote, and then this is the soundbar remote. Now, my hope is that just one remote controls everything. So this one is actually programmed just as a floater. It turns everything on and just, plays cable, and I would hope now we'll just pass through the soundbar volume as well, which we will go ahead and test. In addition to that, we have a URC system for this home that is one button press. All right, Chase has a little pro tip for you guys. I thought this was absolutely genius and definitely improves the flow of turning on your system. Chase, you want to give them the tip?
Yeah, so with specifically Samsungs or really any smart TV, you turn them on, they're going to auto run the built-in TV apps, as you'll see here in a second when we get a picture.
Well, it's already so much worse. So essentially, guys, there's a feature in here that automatically boots up all the smart features. And I've just gotten used to it. I wait for it to boot, but it's super laggy when the TV first turns on. And Chase asked me, do you use the smart features? And I'm like, well, we have an Apple TV. I'm not really sure. I don't think my wife or kid are using them, but regardless, we have the Apple TV, which would be my primary choice for content. So
yeah, it's lagging up so bad I can't.
Well, when you first boot it, like if you just let it sit here for a minute, like it'll kind of cool out. But when you initially boot it up, it just gets crazy laggy for about 30 seconds.
So it boots up on Samsung's built-in like streaming cable service as well as your apps here. So what you're going to do is navigate to your settings all the way on the left here. Click into the settings to go into the deep ones. You'll navigate to general and then come down here to smart features. And I turn all of these off. I don't want the smart hub running, which is the bar with all the apps. I do not want the built-in Samsung cable, and those come defaulted on. Now I'm going to power the TV off. In a few seconds when I boot it on here, it's going to go straight to cable, a lot less lag on the TV, especially with your first inputs to control it. See, there we go.
That was so much faster. Holy cow. Good tip. Guys, we're always looking out, whenever we notice little things as we're doing these videos, we try to point them out to you and make your life as easy as possible. So I hope you enjoyed that little pro tip.
All right, Dreamedia family, that is a wrap on the installation of the Samsung Terrace Soundbar. This thing is absolutely incredible. I'm impressed. I mean, it's insanely easy to install and it's very affordable and it looks aesthetically pleasing with the Terrace. I think it would be nice if they had different options that were available. Samsung, if you're watching this, it'd be great to have a 75 and 85 inch model, but it's clean and it looks absolutely wonderful. And most importantly, it solved my dialogue issue. I mean, I haven't gone through the DB reader or really tuned in my levels for every single zone out here. I could clearly hear the dialogue from my kids shows or movies or whatever we're going to be playing, sports, etc. In addition to the dispersion of the audio for the landscape music system is easily audible and you can carry on a conversation regardless of which area in the backyard you're standing. So I'm a happy camper. I hope you guys enjoyed this installation video as well as walkthrough. If you like videos like this, be sure to smash that subscribe button down below for more and give us a big thumbs up. Drop in the comments how you liked all those little pro tips that Chase was dropping for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative and helping you make a buying decision. If you like this video, be sure to reach out and schedule a consultation with one of our specialists. Dreamedia would love the opportunity to earn your business. And here in the Colorado market, not only are we home theater specialists, but we are doing the entire servicing of smart home integration. Everything from lighting, shades, audio, video, CCTV, as well as, of course, TV, soundbar, speakers, amps, the whole 9 yards. If you're in Colorado and you're interested in building your dream system, reach out today. We look forward to talking with you. Till next time, guys, thanks for watching. This is Zach with Dreamedia Home Theater. We'll catch you on the next one.